All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about something really powerful: how the simple act of stopping yourself from over-explaining can completely change your life. We're going to explore how you can reclaim a massive source of energy you probably don't even realize you're just giving away.
I want you to think about something for a second. You know that very specific physical feeling? Someone asks you a question, maybe for a favor, and all of a sudden you feel this literal twist in your chest as you hear yourself launching into this whole long explanation you never even meant to give.
For so long, we've kind of told ourselves that this is just a personality quirk. Oh, I'm just a people pleaser, or I'm just being nice. But what if it's something way, way deeper? The material we're looking at today reframes this whole habit, not as a character flaw, but as a critical crisis in how we manage our most valuable resource, our own energy. So, to really get a handle on this, we've got to give it a name. We're talking about something called the over-explanation loop. And it's a pattern that's so automatic for most of us, we don't even see it happening.
And this just nails that internal battle, right? It's that split-second disconnect. Your gut, your intuition, your whole body is screaming one thing, but your conditioning, that good person programming, just takes over. Your mouth says yes, and then it's immediately off to the races, trying to build this whole logical case for why you just ignored yourself.
So, why on earth do we do this? What's the hidden deal we're making when we get caught in this loop? Well, it all comes down to the price we're willing to pay just to be seen as nice.
This is what's known as the good person trap. It's this deep, often unconscious belief that our own goodness is directly tied to managing how other people feel. So if someone seems even a little bit disappointed by a boundary you set, that trap springs and suddenly you feel this urgent need to fix their emotion.
And this right here, this is where we get it all mixed up. We confuse being reliable, which is about integrity, it's about doing what you say you'll do, with feeling responsible for how everyone else reacts to our choices. One is about your character. The other is about trying to control the uncontrollable, and it's absolutely exhausting. So let that sink in for a second. What that really means is that every single time you over-explain to soften a no, or you justify a personal choice that needs no justification, you're making a transaction. You're trying to buy back your status as a good person, and the currency you're using is your own vitality, your own peace. There's this one story that it perfectly captures what this cost us. It describes coming home after a long, long week of doing everything right. Fixing problems, pleasing people, explaining every single move, and then catching a glimpse of herself in a hallway mirror. And what she saw wasn't just exhaustion. It was this expression, a smile that wasn't about happiness at all, but was actually a piece of armor. It was a shield put on to say, I'm okay, you're okay, please don't be upset with me. It's a defense mechanism that slowly but surely becomes a cage. And the realization that hit her in that moment, it wasn't just, man, I'm tired. It was something so much deeper. It was the chilling feeling that by constantly performing, by managing everyone else's perception of her, she was actually losing herself. She was disappearing. Okay, so that's the problem, and it's a big one. But this brings us to the solution, and it requires a total shift in how we think about energy. It's not about trying to get more of it, it's about stopping the leak. See, most of us, when we're drained, we operate on this old view. We think we need to import energy from outside ourselves. More coffee, a vacation, you know the drill. But the new view suggests that the energy is already there. It's like a river flowing inside you. The problem is we've built all these little dams and diversions to leak that energy out, to manage other people's comfort. And that is what we mean by permission. It's not about becoming aggressive or mean or selfish. It's just a quiet internal decision to stop building those dams. It's the choice to let that river of energy, which you are pushing outward to please everyone else, to finally flow back where it belongs, into you. All right, so that's the big idea. Sounds great, right? But how do you actually do this when it's a chaotic Tuesday afternoon and your coworker is standing at your desk asking for just 5 minutes? Let's get practical. So the source gives us 4 habits. They're simple, but let's be real, they're not always easy. We have the pause, the silence, micro boundaries, and finally, owning your choices. These are your tools. First up, the pause. It sounds so simple, right? But we are so conditioned to answer instantly because we think any silence is awkward or rude. But just taking 3 seconds, 3, before you answer, it breaks that automatic people-pleasing circuit.
It gives you just enough time to check in with yourself and ask, wait, what do I actually want here? And that leads right into the next habit, the silence. And while look at the power dynamic here. When you over-explain, you're basically saying, here are all my reasons. Please look them over and approve them. You're inviting a negotiation. But when you state your decision and then you just stop talking, you signal clarity. The decision is made. End of story. And from there, you start practicing micro boundaries. This isn't about building a giant wall overnight. It's about starting small, saying, I can't talk right now, but I can in 10 minutes. And this all leads to the final habit, owning your choices. You don't need to present a legal case for why you're leaving work on time. I'm leaving now is a complete sentence. I can't take that on is enough. Your reasons are valid just because they're yours. You don't owe anyone an audit of your time or energy. So let's say we do this. We practice these habits. What's the end game here? What are we actually fighting for? It leads to a whole new definition of what winning looks like, and it's completely internal. The prize here isn't some big, flashy explosion of freedom. It's what the source calls the kitchen coffee moment. It's that moment you're standing in your kitchen, maybe with a cup of coffee, and you realize it's quiet. Your mind is quiet. There's no looping conversation, no anxious text you're trying to craft, no performance. It is just the profound, beautiful absence of noise. But to get to that quiet place, you really have to let this one sink in. You have to internalize it. When you try to convince someone to be okay with your choices, you're putting your own well-being up for sale. But your energy, your peace, your alignment, that's not for sale. Not at any price. And this is maybe the most important shift of all. The biggest fear is that if we set boundaries, we're being selfish or mean. But the real truth is, when you're drained and resentful from constantly performing, you're not giving anyone the real you. You're giving them a shell. The world doesn't need your apology for existing. It needs your light. So just remember, this isn't a one-and-done thing. It's a practice. It's about coming back to yourself again and again. So as you move through your week, just think about this. Where is one small place, just one conversation, where you can practice choosing authenticity over approval? That's where it all begins.